So in today's video, I'm going to talk about a term that maybe you've heard, maybe you haven't. We use it all of the time, and we assume that everybody knows what it means, but you may not know what it means. My name is Bill from Disney Image Makers, and along with Eric Weber, we make these videos here on this channel to help you get better at photography. So one of the terms that we always use is exposure compensation. So what exactly does that mean? Basically, what you are doing is overriding what the camera thinks you should be doing or what the proper exposure is. Maybe you use a cell phone, and when you go to take a picture, you can adjust the exposure. So if you're holding your phone up and you look at it and your subject is too bright, sometimes you can touch, the subject and it'll actually bring the exposure into balance. Or maybe you'll touch the sky and it'll actually expose properly for the sky. So this is using your phone's metering system, where it's actually trying to balance out the light. So you can do this in your camera also. Now you can compensate for the exposure by adjusting your settings manually. So if you have let's say you're all set up to take the shot, and you take the shot and it looks too bright. In manual mode, you can either make the shutter speed a little faster, which will darken it down, or you can close down the aperture, or you can lower the ISO. So there are a few ways that you can do this, but there's a quick and easy way to do it inside most cameras, and it's called exposure compensation. So I took a little video of how it works here, and as you can see, the meter is showing on the back of my camera. I have my camera in live view, and as I adjust the exposure compensation button, it gets either darker or brighter. So this is a great way to actually fix the exposure of your image quickly without messing with a lot of settings or anything like that. I have the camera set in aperture priority right here. So this is my Nikon D750, and on this camera, the shutter button is right here. But right next to it, right there, is the exposure compensation button. So when I press that, it'll actually, if I'm looking through the viewfinder, the bottom right corner, or if I'm looking at live view like you saw in that video, there's a number there, and it'll either be plus, 0, 3, 0, 7, 1. It does it in third stop increments, either on plus or minus to the 0 point on your meter. So you can either darken it or brighten it without changing any of the other settings. The camera will do the work inside, and all you have to do is quickly, you take the shot and you see that it's a little overexposed, you press this and spin this wheel in the back, and you're able to adjust it down. If you want to go the other way, you spin the wheel the opposite way. Now my Canon M50 here that I'm shooting on has the same thing, but this is a mirrorless camera, and I was shooting a little video. We were at a campground actually this morning, and I just want to talk about this for a second because I had no idea what to shoot or what to talk about today. And I was going to actually make a video on when you run out of ideas on YouTube, but I decided, I was messing around with my camera this morning, and a couple of shots I took were overexposed, and I adjusted for them quickly using this, and I'm like, you know what, let me talk about this. I don't think we've ever mentioned this on the channel. So if you look at this video, I was just standing there and just taking, some video of the beach at the campground, and right on the back of the screen of the M50, there's a little button. If I look right here, there's a compensation button on the screen. And what's great about that is I click it and I can either go up or down. So even in video mode, you can see here that the video is getting lighter, getting darker as I adjust the exposure compensation up and down. Super simple to use. And I don't have to get into the settings or do anything special. It just, it just works. And it's an easy way to make your exposure the way you want it instead of the way the camera wants it. So most cameras have this feature. You just need to dig around a little bit. I know my Nikon's has the Nikon has the physical button on here, but depending on what type of camera you have, it might be built into your screen in the touch settings of your screen if you have a newer camera. If you have a older camera, there might be a physical button on here. You may have to go into the menu settings, but if you have the physical button, it makes it very easy, and they usually place it somewhere where you can get to it right away, where it's right here and you can quickly adjust. So I hope that helps some of you. I know it's one of those things that we just talk about and assume everybody knows. It's one of those photography terms, exposure compensation. So now you know what it is. I'm going to put some videos here. I have our photography playlist, which is going to give you all sorts of information on all things photography. And over here, I'm going to put one of our exposure videos where you can actually, we try to get in a little more in depth to how to adjust your exposure and, what the terms mean. Okay, see you in the next video.